We're ready to go?
We're ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to see you all again, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready for our Capitol classroom. We are in day 4 of the legislative session. Recall, I just came and met with you guys last Friday to get ready for the start of session. So the legislature convened on Monday, as I stated. They have been working now furiously over the last several days, introducing lots of bills. I think we're up to bills in the 6,500s for Senate and up 2,500s or more for the House. So remembering those numbers that I gave you before, there hasn't been a lot of action this week, except that lots of hearings on different bills, and a couple of those big bills that I told you about that are having hearings and are probably going to be moving pretty soon. The first cutoff, so this is something we didn't talk about last Friday. So there's deadlines in the legislative session. So bills have to get out of their House of Origin committee by February 2nd. So it's the first deadline that our bill needs to meet. And as I understand from Mr. Faiza, you've chosen 5991 and 2545, the campaign disclosure bill. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So a couple things about that. That bill had the Senate bill had its first hearing yesterday in the Senate State Government and Elections Committee. So you can go on TV and watch that hearing and see what was said about the bill. I'll talk a little bit about who testified for and against that bill and about where it heads. But I also want to note for you that the House bill has a hearing tomorrow at 10 a.m. So if you want me to testify on your behalf on that bill, you need to get me some talking points pretty quickly today so that I can go and do that for you in that hearing. So when you look at the bill and look at, remember I showed you how to read a bill before. So if you look at Senate Bill 5991, there are a lot of sponsors on there. The prime sponsor is Senator Andy Billig. He's a Democrat. He's from Spokane. And then the second sponsor, and this is a good signal for you on how a bill will do. The second sponsor is Senator Joe Fain, who's a Republican from Auburn. So you have a bill that's sponsored by a Democrat and then a Republican. That signals that there's bipartisan support for this bill, that there are both Democrats and Republicans that support it. And then you have a whole lot of sponsors on this bill. That is a strategy that sometimes is used. I think we did talk about this before, where a bill, you want a lot of sponsors on it, which signals to people that there's broad support. So we have sponsors on this bill from all over the state, both Democrats and Republicans, although mostly sponsored by Democrats. The House bill is also sponsored. I have a little echo, David. The House bill is also sponsored by a bipartisan group. Not the same Republicans being second in the bill, but there are no, I lied. The Senate bill the House bill is all Democrats. But I do not anticipate that there won't be Republicans that support that bill. So I'm going to pause here and take any questions on the bill itself or where it is in the process or just general legislative questions. And then we can, after we get through that, then we can talk about next steps with respect to this bill. Actually, I'm going to ask one question first. I have made an assumption and I probably shouldn't have. Are you supporting this bill or opposing it?
Supporting?
Supporting, most people say support. Do you understand what the bill does, or do we need to talk about that first?
A little insight wouldn't hurt.
Okay. So this bill comes out of, I'll even back up further. We have in the state of Washington an entity called the Public Disclosure Commission, and I think during the campaigns, campaign season, you all went to the Public Disclosure Commission website. The goal of the Public Disclosure Commission is to make sure that there's transparency in elections and campaigns, so that when people donate money to a campaign, whether that be a campaign for an initiative or a campaign for a legislator or the governor, the public policy reason behind the Public Disclosure Commission is make sure the public, you, can find out who's donated, who's spending money for and against candidates. There are what are called political action committees, and there are a whole bunch of political action committees, and you can find these listed on the Public Disclosure Commission website. Just about every interest in the state has a political action committee. These are committees that raise money from a whole bunch of different sources and then spend that money either in support or opposed to candidates that are running for various seats. Also, nonprofit organizations. Many nonprofit organizations have their nonprofit organization that does work in the Olympia or does charity work or what have you, but then they have an affiliated political action committee that also does work in campaigns. So the examples I used before, which are convenient examples, is the Teachers Union, WEA, has their nonprofit organization that they work on behalf of teachers, but they also have an affiliated political action committee. The other organization that was referenced in the hearing yesterday, and actually is one of my clients, Stand for Children, is a nonprofit organization that advocates on education issues, but also has an affiliated political action committee. It is very common for nonprofit organizations to take some of the money that they have raised in their nonprofit organization and transfer it to their political action committee for use in campaigns. What this bill is aiming to get at is increasing the transparency of the source of those contributions. What Senator Billy is trying to do is, let's say you have a nonprofit and 10 people donate to that nonprofit, a total of $500,000 each. So then you have a couple $1 million, and you take $1 million of that and take that from your nonprofit and donate it to the political action committee. That is not transparent right now as to who originally donated to the nonprofit. So what Senator Billig is trying to do is state that there needs to be transparency of who those original 10 people who donated to the nonprofit are, so that people know where the money is coming from. Does that make sense? It's a pretty simple bill, actually. It's just aiming at getting, again, thinking of the goal of the Public Disclosure Commission is that you should be able to, as the public, know where every dollar comes from to support or be opposed to a candidate. And he is attempting to further bring to light spending in political action committees. So I'll pause there.
One question.
Yeah.
Is it usual to have so many senators on the bill that support it?
The common strategy. So sometimes you'll see a lot of bills that, well, they'll have 1 or 2 people on them. But the strategy behind this is the more signatures you have on the bill gives a signal to the legislature how many people are supportive of it. So, you know, some people think, people differ on whether it's a strategy they want to use. I'll give an example. When I was working on, remember I said that I represent the Washington State University Medical School. When we were running the bill to establish that school, that was a little bit controversial. And so we made it, we decided to get as many signatures we can. We had 65 signatures in the House on that bill and 35 in the Senate. So it's a pretty strong signal to folks that, hey, you're going to have to pay attention to this bill because a lot of people want it. But there's a whole bunch of bills that don't, that just have 1 or 2 people on them. I saw
Okay, so who is the Republican who is supporting this bill again?
there are a couple. Senator Fain, Joe Fain, who is the floor leader for the Senate from Auburn. Then you also have Senator Malosha, who's from Federal Way. I think those are the two senators that have signed onto the bill. That doesn't mean there aren't more senators that support it, right? I mean, we'll see when the votes happen who ends up being support and not support. But in terms of sponsors, the Republicans that have sponsored this bill are Senators Fain and Ballard. Other questions about the bill? Yeah.
Who are the main people that are trying to oppose this bill, and why don't they want it to pass?
That's a good question that segues into the testimony from yesterday. So in support of the bill, we have organizations like the League of Women Voters. There's an organization called Fix Democracy First. I don't know much about them, so we need to do a little research, but I'm guessing it's a nonprofit that supports voting rights. Actually Stand for Children, my client signed in support of that bill. Opposed to the bill yesterday was, interestingly, the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, was opposed to the bill. The Washington Policy Center, and then a couple of other organizations, that the Building Industry Association and the Association of Washington Business. The reasons provided for opposition. I'm looking here real quick, give me a second. The folks basically said that they feel like, and I think this is where ACLU stands on this, is that it could have an effect of, in their opinion, chilling legitimate folks or scaring people away from participating in the process because they feel like they might be scrutinized for their support of one candidate or another, one cause or another. They also raised the issue of smaller nonprofits who don't have a lot of staff, and requiring the more robust reporting requirements could provide an undue burden on those organizations. That's a summary of it. Again, I would encourage you to go on to the TVW website, maybe in class when you have the opportunity, and watch the hearing from yesterday. You'll get a better sense of what people said and why. You'll also get a sense of where the legislators are, because you can see the questions that they asked of the people that were testifying. Questions? Yeah.
Where is the bill now? Like, what process?
Good question. So both the Senate and the House House bills are sitting in their policy committees. Remember, we talked about this last week. The first step in the process is the policy committee. So the Senate bill is in the Senate State Government, Tribal Relations, and Elections Committee. It has had a hearing. So when you go back to that how a bill becomes law process, that bill now needs to be voted on by the Senate committee. And it is scheduled for executive session tomorrow at 8 a.m. Now, remember what could happen there. They could pass it out of committee just as it stands. They could amend it and make changes to it, or they could vote it down and say they don't want to move it. So we'll see what happens tomorrow in the Senate committee. The House bill is in the same subject matter committee in the House. It has a hearing tomorrow in the House, which is the first step to that bill, and then it can have a vote by the House committee after that. Okay. Other question?
So we have a few minutes at the end. We could talk about some talking points and then email them to you directly.
That's correct. If you send me your talking point, and you have my email address, send me what, if you were standing in front of a legislator and you wanted to tell them in a brief couple sentences why they should support this bill, what would you say? And that, I will compile those comments and provide them to the committee tomorrow in testimony.
Okay, that would be great.
And then you can also watch that one on TVW. The hearing starts at 10 tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure what time the bill will come up, so you might not be able to watch it live. If you can't watch it live, then you're able to go onto the website later and watch the hearing. And then the next step for us beyond testimony. So part of the way legislators make decisions on whether they're going to support a bill or not support a bill is based on what they hear from the public. You know, part of it's their own opinions and their own experiences and background, but they also are elected officials, so they need to represent the public. So the other thing that I would want you to do, starting next week, and I'll give you a list of folks, is start sending some emails to some legislators that are key to moving the bill forward, and let them know your opinion, why you think they ought to move that forward. And the first 3 people on your list, I hope you can tell me who those first 3 people on your list would be. About most about what you think in Ballard.
Billy, Fane, and Melosia.
No, you're not. Like, care the most about you in Ballard.
Carlisle.
Carl. Those are the people that care the most about you. Remember, legislators care the most about their own constituents first, and then the rest of it. They have to represent everybody, obviously, but their own constituents first. So first things first will be letting your 3 legislators know what you think about this bill. And then the sponsors, the committee members, and all of those folks, and leadership.
Gail Carlson, Noel Fane.
And I'm going to work on getting one of our connections to be with Senator Billy and Senator Fane, and invite them to come and speak with you, so that they can tell you a little bit more about why they're running the bill and ask questions of them. Any other questions for me?
Do you think this bill is gonna pass? Or become law?
Uh-oh.
Sorry, had a little alarm there. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Do you think this bill will become law?
If I were to bet right now, I think this bill will pass. I think there is sufficient interest in doing it. It's going to have some opposition, so it's going to have some challenges along the way, but there's a lot of people that want it.
I have a question. Why were there no set restrictions on campaign funding disclosure prior to the amendments to the bill?
Okay, so there are a lot of restrictions on campaign funds currently in law. That's a good question, though. This is, so currently, and you can go on the public disclosure website and see this, there are limits to how much money you can give a candidate. So you individually can only give a certain amount of money to a candidate, and an organization can only give a certain amount of money to a candidate. There's some exceptions to that in terms of if you're not giving money directly to a candidate, you can do, organizations can do their own things in terms of like advertising and those kinds of things for a given candidate. But in terms of direct campaign contributions, you can only, there are limitations to that. And there are lots of requirements for reporting currently. This is one component of the process that was left out of the reporting that's been required thus far. So it's an addition to the current.
Okay, thank you.
Any final questions? If not, I'd like to let you get to work on sending me some talking points so I can provide testimony for you tomorrow.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. And can you ask David, when can we show the other classes our chat today?
Yes, I'll ask
How does that
you
work?
an email.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Vicki.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks. Okay. Bye.
You just signed it.